Hi, my name is Niki. This is The Interventionalist, and it's Lesbian Visibility Week. So I want to talk about lesbianism today. And I talk about lesbianism pretty often. I talk about lesbian topics, gay topics, most of the time. But since it's Lesbian Visibility Week, I feel like we have to talk about it. And today I really want to talk about, when I look back, some of the signs that I think were pretty strong indicators that I was a lesbian, at the very least sapphic, but I think pretty strong indicators that I was a lesbian. I want to talk about a few of those. Some are funnier and some are, I guess, a little bit more analytical. And I also wanted to talk about something a little bit more lighthearted about being a lesbian, because my last video was also related to the experience of being a lesbian, but what it felt like to get cheated on with a man, all that can come with that, like the insecurity that can follow in particular. And it was a heavier video, like definitely covered one of the more painful sides of being a lesbian, I think, something that can be quite difficult to work through, like the feelings of being worthy or being enough in a relationship in a world that centers like heterosexuality and men so much. And it was a pretty heavy video, actually. I haven't uploaded a video since then. I usually upload a couple of videos a week, but I didn't upload any last week because that one affected me like way more than I realized. I think sometimes I feel like if you intellectualize things, you'll know what I mean. Like, you can really convince yourself that you've understood something so well that it won't emotionally impact you anymore. And I think sometimes I forget that just because I can talk about the effects of something, that it doesn't mean I won't be affected. Just because I can talk about the effects doesn't change the fact that I'll be affected. And I guess that's kind of what happened. So I don't know. I like was just a little bit thrown off last week. And then I realized it's Lesbian Visibility Week this week. And I thought it'd be a great time, like a good opportunity to talk about like the more lighthearted things that can come with being a lesbian, but also just the things a little bit less heavy. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have this video, which I believe will be uploaded on Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday. So there'll be 3 videos for Lesbian Visibility Week. And okay, yeah, that's just a preface. So I'm just going to start talking about it. I was thinking over my head, kind of in chronological order, when I look back now, the signs that I feel like were pretty big signs that I was a lesbian. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I'm going to start like chronologically and then get until the point that I came out as lesbian, which happened when I was 21. Like fully came out as lesbian, like didn't go back in the closet. So when I look back in my memory, the first memory I have that shifted something in my brain and made me realize, oh, something's a little weird, was my first girl crush, and like how confused and flustered it made me. And I was in 2nd grade, and there was this girl in my class who I'd become really good friends with, but I was like, I don't know, I always felt differently about her than my other friends at the time. Like, sometimes I would just like feel like angry at her. I don't know how to explain it. There was like a specific kind of like pent up like emotional energy that I didn't really know how to process. And so we kind of started off as enemies, like legitimately, like we hated each other when we first started school together because she came in 1st grade, and then we became really good friends. But when I look back now, like I think a lot of it just has to do with like not knowing how to process that I felt a little bit differently towards her, versus like if I had a crush on a boy, like that wouldn't have been, the feelings wouldn't have been, I feel like, so disorienting or like unnameable, unidentifiable. Even though you're a kid, like you kind of, that because it's so normalized, like having a crush on a boy, it's not that big of a deal. Like you can kind of, already you're learning what that looks like and that it's like expected and all this stuff. Like when I was in kindergarten, I had this boy come to school every day, and this kind of random, he'd bring me a rose for like a couple months straight. He'd bring me a rose and then he'd draw me a roadrunner. I don't know why he did that, actually, now that I think about it, but that's what I mean. Like that was already a thing, like having crushes on boys, like they were doing little cute things, and that just like made sense. It wasn't weird. You know, if you thought like a boy was cute and you had those like little like, oh my God, I would like hold his hand feelings, like it wasn't weird, you know, like you could recognize it already. And I had those feelings towards her, because I just wanted to be around her all the time. Like, I just wanted to be around her all the time. I would always try and make her laugh. Like, I just remember being, like, I remember doing what the boys in my class would do to girls when they had crushes on girls. Like, always, like, being honestly so fucking stupid just to get a girl to laugh. Like that was me to her. And I remember one time, oh my gosh, we were in second grade now. And now we were really good friends, and I went over to her house, and I was over at her house all the time, and we went swimming in her pool, and we were like playing this game. I don't know, we were going in a circle really, really, really fast over and over again to like make like a whirlpool. And then we stopped, and she was just like looking at me, and I was looking at her, and I remember I had like the craziest urge to kiss her on the cheek. Like I'll never forget that. Like it was such like a visceral urge. And then I panicked because I didn't even understand what that was or why that was happening, or like, and I froze, and she asked me like what was wrong, because I completely froze. Like I literally, like a deer in the headlights, like completely froze. And I panicked, and then I dove under the water and swam away as fast as I could. Because like, it was so weird. It was such like a visceral feeling. And I remember just thinking like, that's not normal. Like that's weird. Like what was that? Like being confused about what that was. But when you're a kid in school, like it wasn't confusing or weird to me, and made sense. Like if a boy gave me a rose and a picture of a roadrunner, right? Like it wasn't weird. But when I like wanted to do all these really nice things for this girl, or I wanted to like, I don't know, reenact like little cute romantic things that kids do when they're like reenacting things they see their parents do when they have a little crush, I was feeling those feelings towards her, and I'm like, what the fuck? And like swam away as fast as I could. I remember like panicking, and then tabled it. We moved on. And then obviously I got older, whatever. Didn't go away. Definitely still had like girl crushes on and off. Started having those like really, really intense female friendships, which I'll talk about. And then the second major thing after that, like very evident girl crush, that I remember being such an indicator is related to fanfiction and the shipping of people. And it's interesting because fanfiction has a really strong tie to queer culture and LGBTQ culture. It always has. And I was really addicted to it. Like I was in sixth grade when I first like discovered fanfiction, because I was on Tumblr, and I became really obsessed with Larry Silenson, which was a ship between Harry Styles and Louis Tomlinson. And then I would read fanfiction all of the time, so gay fanfiction, and I was obsessed with it. Like I was so deeply obsessed, and like as a kid, I really wasn't a kid who got into like, I wasn't really into things like that. Like I was never at any other point in my life into any kind of celebrities. I was never really into TV shows or bands. I just wasn't. But for some reason, I was so attached to this ship, like this potential couple, and then reading about it and like reading all of the fan fiction around it possible. And I think it's interesting because I think that there's a reason fan fiction is so tied to the LGBTQ community. And I think I made a TikTok about this the other day, but I think a lot of it has to do with there's very little actual representation, like LGBTQ representation in the media and like in things that we can see, visualize, or consume in fiction and books. And there's more now, but there's not that much. And when I was younger, there was no lesbian representation around me. I don't know, I've talked about this before on here, but I don't think I even really realized what a lesbian was until I was in like high school. I just like for some reason wasn't a concept. Like I knew about gay men, but I think that really speaks to the idea that like we still are in a world that centers men. Even if it's still a homophobic culture, it's still going to put men at the forefront no matter what. So a relationship between two men will get more coverage or recognition than two women, you know? And I just didn't really know what a lesbian was. But in fan fiction, there was this representation because people were writing it. Like we, as a community, and why it's so tied, I think we're creating our own representation. And I think it allows us to explore and see ourselves in relationships and people, even if we have to write it ourselves. And I think a lot of it has to do with intuiting whether or not other people might be in a queer relationship or gay. And I do think that there's harmful side effects of that for sure. Like, I'm not saying it's not inappropriate to assume people's sexuality, but I also think there's something to be said for like somebody being able to see themselves in someone else. And I think that's a lot of where it comes from, is like people being able to see themselves in someone. And then I think being LGBTQ, there's this risk you run, and I experienced it, where if you're able to see yourself in someone, like even just the act of like, I guess, a gay relationship or gay feelings, you can like sort of see yourself in it. You get very, very attached to it, over-attached, I would say. And I think a lot of people who are LGBTQ up until they come out because I have friends who also said the same thing, who are gay, and I had a couple comments on that video I made say something similar about like not feeling like they would have known they were gay, or it would have taken longer for them to know if they didn't have fan fiction, and just being very attached to it and like really heavily consuming fan fiction and then coming to the realization that actually like you're gay. And I feel like there's no coincidence there, having that sort of over attachment. And like I preferred fan fiction over anything else. Like I love reading, and I loved reading as a kid, but there was a period of time where I just read so much fan fiction solely because I wanted to read about a gay relationship. And I look back now and I'm like, I think a lot of it was the projection and sort of the want or the hope to see a relationship that normalized what I kind of already felt like was wrong with me. Because even if at that point I wasn't admitting it to myself, like by the time I was in 6th grade, I had taken many a "Are you gay?" quiz. Like that had happened. I'd already like had a best friend now at the time, not the girl crush in 2nd grade that I felt like, which I'll talk about next, like I confused about. And so seeing like that relationship, even if I couldn't verbalize it then or even really process that that's what was happening, that extreme attachment and wanting it so badly to be true, like wanting it to be true that they were in a relationship, I feel like came from this deep need to see it normalized, to see it exist, this like thing that I am exists out in the world. And also in general, like I think the fandom within that supported that theoretical relationship, even if like I understand it can actually be a damaging thing that happens, but I also think it's a result of like a deeper political issue, which is lack of representation of the LGBTQ community. So I think you'd have to treat the root cause, like try and treat the overattachment that causes side effects. Anyways, not the point. The fandom is like incredibly accepting, right? Because it's a bunch of people who are like accepting of this theoretical relationship. So there's all of this like support for gay relationships. And so to be a part of something that has normalized that, even if it's like via the internet or reading fan fiction where it's normalized, is like a breath of fresh air. Like you're living in a world where like you are normal then. Like you're immersing yourself in a world where what you are is not unnatural or abnormal or not the norm. And I think that's incredibly like healing and easy to get like sucked into. And I was so addicted to fan fiction. I read it all the time. Also, there's some like really amazing fan fiction writers. Actually, I've had people, actually a few times since I've made videos on here, people send me fan fiction recommendations for gay fan fiction. And I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to read it. But I think it's interesting, like even into adulthood, still finding comfort and connection in fan fiction. And there's so much to be said for it. And I am going to make a video on it. I keep saying that, but I literally am. Last week just was like difficult, and then this week I want to focus on lesbianism. But I think that there's a reason that fan fiction is so connected to the queer community, and I think I was so connected to fan fiction because I was a lesbian and couldn't figure it out. And at that point, I was also like, now I was an avid Tumblr user, which I think there's also a conversation to be had about the way that like Tumblr and even things like fan fiction or Wattpad can like literally groom young adults, children. But I was on Tumblr all the time, and at this point I was like kind of figuring it out. I was like, fuck, like I'm screwed, like I am gay, like there's something wrong with me. And I was sending asks to people being like, I don't know what to do, like I think I'm gay, like my parents will hate me, like I don't know what to do. And I remember getting really sweet replies from people who were like Larry Silence in blogs and screenshotting them and trying to read them over and over again. Like it was a whole thing. And then I hit a point where I started to like really struggle with the very deep female friendships. So like 6th grade, that was the time I got addicted to fan fiction. That lasted. And then I went into 7th grade, and I had this best friend, and we were really attached. And when I look back now, like it was very much like a homoerotic friendship. I don't know if she's gay. I'm not in contact with her anymore, but she did go to prom with a girl. So I don't know. But we had a very deep friendship, and I feel like crossed like a lot of kind of like weird boundaries, and it was one of those friendships that everyone kind of thought was a little bit weird, like you guys are so close. But either way, whatever, like she would have crushes on guys. I would I'd pretend to. I don't know, if a guy had a crush on me, I'd be like, oh, okay, like, ugh. But I wouldn't be like, no, oh my God, get away from me. I would try and play into it because I wanted to know, like I wanted to be normal. And there was this thing that happened that like really had me it was the first time I looked in the mirror and was like, you're gay, there's something wrong with you, which happened a few times after that, but this was the first time I was like, there's fucking wrong about you. We were in 7th grade. There was this boy who was an 8th grader. I went to a tiny, tiny, tiny school. And he had a crush on me. And we were friends, like, whatever. I didn't have a crush on him. I was obsessed with her. Like, I didn't care about him. But I was obsessed with her, and he was obsessed with me. And it created this triangle because she was my best friend, and she was, like, closest to me, and he was obsessed with me at the time. And then eventually he sent me a kick message. Do you remember that? That's, like, a concerning app, honestly. That and Omegle. Anyways, he sent me a kick message, and we were texting all the time, and he asked me to be his girlfriend, and I said no, because I'm like, no, what the fuck, no. And I said no because I don't want to be his girlfriend. And then a week goes by, and because, like, I don't know, middle schoolers do this because nothing's that serious then, he's like, well, now I have a new crush, and it was on my best friend. And I was like, fuck, I didn't give a shit about him. I could not care less, like, about him liking her. I cared about her liking him. And then I was stressed, and then I got really stressed out. And I knew that now he liked her, and I was like, there's no way. Like, oh my God, he asked me to be his girlfriend. Like, what if he asked her? And I was like panicking about it. And not even like a week and a half later, he asked her. Ugh, I'm telling you, I lost it. Like, I'm not kidding when I say I lost it. I was actually at the friend's house that I had the girl crush on in 2nd grade. I was at her house when my friend sent me a text that, like, the friend who became his girlfriend, she sent me a text on our little iPod touches, an iMessage, and she told me that he asked her to be his girlfriend, and she said yes. Oh my God, I lost it. I was like, no, this can't be happening. I was freaking out. I started hyperventilating. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, I was flipping the fuck out. Like, what is wrong with you? And I started freaking out. And then my friend, because when you're a kid, you just do whatever you see on TV, and I'm hyperventilating, she went upstairs and brought me a brown paper bag. Like, that's the most dramatic shit that you could ever do. I start hyperventilating into this brown paper bag, and then I call my friend on, like, the house phone. Of course I had her number memorized. I'd call her all the time. And I called her and I was like, you can't date him. And she was like, what? And I was like, you can't date him. Like, you can't date him. She's like, I don't understand why. Like, Niki, why can't I date him? Like, what's the problem? Like, she just confused. Because I'm not even being like, because I like him or because girl code, all this stuff. I'm just like, you can't date him. You can't date him. You just can't. And I had no reason. My other friend is like, what is wrong with you? Like, what is wrong? Why can't she date him? And I'm like, she just can't date him. And I'm like freaking out. Oh my God, it was so bad. And I just, like, I could not care less about him, but I cared so much about her. And then I had to accept it. And I was, like, dejected and felt defeated. And then I'd see them together and I'm like, oh my God, I can't handle this. Actually, I think my heart is broken and I don't know why. Why does it matter? And it's not like I'm jealous that she got a guy, because I could have had that guy. I don't care about him. I'm jealous that he has her. And it was just so confusing and so weird. And I think that friend, the one I had a girl crush on that gave me the brown paper bag, I think that's when she started to kind of pick up on the fact that maybe I was gay. We talked about it years and years later because it was just such an odd reaction. Like, and our attachment in general was really odd. But it was after that experience, they ended up breaking up not long after, but it was after that experience that I, like, looked myself in the mirror really for the first time. I'd done it a couple times before, and I was like, you're gay. And I cried because I was like, it suddenly felt very real. And I was getting older to the point where that, like, wasn't something that didn't make sense. Like, I knew what that was now. And I also had grown up and, like, now had, like, tangible evidence and proof within my hometown, within my home life, my family, how terrible being gay was, or how awful, how disgusting. And so then it became more than just like oh my God, am I, like, I don't know, like, what even is this thing? It became really scary and really depressing. So then I cried about it for the first time. And that, like, changed, like, shifted a lot in me. And then 7th grade went by. Me and her were still friends. I've talked about this in other videos, but then 8th grade happened, and this boy that I was friends with asked me to be his girlfriend, and this time I said yes because we were really good friends, and I just felt like it was the right thing to do. I talk way more about that in my video about, like, was I a bad partner? If you're interested, but essentially I was a terrible girlfriend. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I didn't know why I didn't care. I wanted to care, but nothing mattered to me. I didn't want anything from him. I didn't want anything to do with him. The second he asked me out, we went from being friends and I enjoyed his company to, like, not wanting him anywhere near me and being like really annoyed and frustrated, but also wanting to care, like wanting to like him, but not being able to get myself to. I remember a really particular issue or thing that I struggled with was that when I was away from him and not near him, I could like try and in my head be like, no, it's okay. Like, I do like him. I can make it work. I feel so bad. Like, I do like him. He's supposed to be my boyfriend. And then when I was in person with him, I couldn't shake that like repulsion and disgust. And it's so frustrating. And I feel like that really speaks to the concept of comp like happening in real time in a little bit of a different way, which is if I could separate myself from him and like allow him to be an idea, even for just like a few hours, I could be like, no, I can make this work. Like, no, he's a nice guy. He's nice. Like, we're friends. I feel bad now. Now I should go be around him. Like, I do want to hug him, all this stuff. And then he'd be in front of me and I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't want you anywhere near me. I don't want you to touch me. And I would just keep failing. I'd go home and think I could get it right. And then I'd be in front of him and I'd fail. And I just couldn't stand him. And I avoided him at all costs. Didn't want him to touch me ever. One of the stories I tell in the Bad Partner video, but I feel like kind of like represents how much like I just didn't want him near me, versus now when I like people, I want to be around them all the time, like if I can. He came to my house, like it was sweet. Him and his dad came to my house to give me a birthday present, and I saw them coming down the driveway, and instead of thanking them because they came all this way, I ran downstairs, told my dad to cover for me. I'm not even close with my father. Told my dad to cover for me, and then he saw him outside, and then I ran back upstairs, went in the bathroom, and turned the shower on so that they thought that I was busy. I didn't even go in the shower. So essentially, like, this bathroom was my closet at this point, because that's what I was running into the closet at that point. And they stayed for like 30 minutes, and I just ran the water until they eventually left. And then I went downstairs and talked to my dad for a second, and he was like, they just want to give you a present. Like, what's wrong with you? I was like, I don't know. And I felt bad. I felt bad about it. I actually did apologize to him like multiple times the years after, and like we stayed friends, but I still don't feel good about it. Like, he was just like a young boy, like trying to be a sweet boyfriend, and I wanted nothing to do with him. And I didn't feel good about it. But that happened in like 8th grade. I was really starting to realize that something was wrong with me at this point, and I was starting to like get worried. And it was around this time that I started to wonder if I like had trauma that I wasn't aware of, that was causing me to be so repulsed by men. And that became like a question in my head all the time. Like, is there something wrong with me, or did something happen to me that I don't even know that's making me this repulsed? Because I mean, there's some psychology behind that, like repressed memories, things like that. And so I would read about things like that all of the time, like the concept of repressed memories, because I was like convinced there must have been something wrong to make me like this unattracted to men, like not be able to get it to work. And I was like, I don't even have a reason why. And at this point, I know that there's something wrong with me. I wish that I could fix it. It's not working. I went into like my freshman year, and I would have like talking stages with guys, and it was always the same thing, where I'd be like, I don't want you anywhere near me. Like, I don't want you anywhere near me. Like, sorry, like, I'm just not interested. You're really nice, but I'm not the girl for you. I would always say that. And I started to have like another really deep female friendship. That's happened a few more times after that one in middle school. I had another really deep female friendship that was really intense. And then something else happened that when I look back now, I think is really interesting. And it's that I had a friend my freshman year, not the really deep female friendship, but I had this friend, and we were close. We were good friends, and she was very attached to me. Like the kind of attachment where people would ask if like she was gay, like if she had a crush on me, because she was just like very attached to me, and I really liked her, like her company. I didn't have like feelings for her, but I really liked her company, and she was really attached to me. And that was my freshman year, and then my sophomore year came, and I transferred high schools, so I switched high schools, and her and I kept in touch. And one day she called me, and she was like, I need to tell you something. And I was like, what? And she told me I'm a lesbian. She came out to me, and I was like, oh my God. I wasn't surprised, but I was just like, oh my God, that's crazy. I kind of had a feeling, but I was like, that's crazy. And then she goes, but do you want to hear something else? And I was like, what? She's like, what, like, made me realize I was gay? And I was like, oh my God, what? And I'm like thinking maybe it's me, like, ooh, like I'll be honored. And she was like, it was you, like, you were my first girl crush, like, you made me realize that I was a lesbian, all this stuff. And I was like, I felt so honored. And even when I thought like freshman year that she kind of had a crush on me, like, I wasn't repulsed by it. Like, if men told me they had a crush on me, I was like genuinely repulsed. If I could sense that they like had a crush on me, I was genuinely repulsed. And her, on the other hand, like I could kind of sense a similar thing. And I wasn't repulsed. I was honestly a little flattered. Like I was just flattered. And then sophomore year came and she told me, and I was like so flattered. I was like, oh my God, it was so weird. I remember just thinking like, what a weird reaction, because anytime someone else tells me they have a crush on me, I get like really horrified and really bothered. It's like, why would you ever think that like this was anything more than platonic? Like, how could you ever think that? Because I couldn't imagine that with men. But when she told me, it made sense to me. I was like, oh my God. And that's another thing. Like, it made sense to me. Like, when men would tell me they have crushes on me, I would be really upset because it didn't make sense. Like, why? Why would you think that this is more than platonic? And it would bother me because it didn't make sense to me. Like, why would you ever think that I like you more than that? But for straight people, that makes sense. That's what like comes naturally to them. It was not to not come naturally to me, versus when I hear about like any kind of gay relationship, it was like it came naturally. And so it made sense to me. And so when she told me she had a crush on me, like it made sense. I was like, oh my God, yeah. Like, I don't know. It just did. It just made sense. And it reminded me of something else that like lasted for a long time in my life. That started, I think, especially around the time I started reading fanfiction, which was the way that I understood gay male relationships better than I did straight ones. Like a relationship between two men made way more sense to me and seemed way more natural than a straight relationship between a man and a woman. And I felt like, I don't even know how to explain it, like disconnect and a bit like repulsed at like heterosexual fiction like books or even relationships, because they didn't really make sense to me. And I'm not totally sure where that comes from. I think part of it was like projecting my own sort of internal world onto like seeing gay men, right? Like, I don't know, because I wasn't seeing lesbian couples, so I wasn't like seeing my own what would actually like fully represent me, but that was like what was the closest to representing me. But it made sense to me. And so for a really long time, like I would think this very odd thing, but I know I'm not alone in this, because I've actually gotten a few comments on here of people saying this, where I was like, I think it would be better if I was a gay man. Like it wasn't, oh, like I wanted to be a man, and I didn't even really want to be a gay man, but I was like, maybe I was meant to be a gay man. And it's such a weird thought process to have. I don't even really know how to explain it, but I think it's like the comfort of being a man like provides like already a sense of like social safety and like power that you lack as a woman. I think there's probably something there, like not wanting to have the unequal power dynamic that can come with being a woman in a heterosexual relationship with a man. But then also like the projection of a same-sex relationship. And so I think that's what like led me to think that, and also experience at the same time gender envy of men, but not want them and not be attracted to them, but be envious of the way that they could attract women. And I was like very envious of men's style. I remember that like being a thing all throughout high school, especially. Like my style would change on and off, like depending on how much my mom was going to force me to dress really feminine. She hated when I didn't. But when I could, and it wasn't going to be like this huge issue, whenever I would look up like fashion inspo, I was always looking up like men and whatever, like, I don't know, man was in like a celebrity man people wanted really badly. Like, and I would try and style based on that. And I think that it speaks a lot to like the concept of gender envy, and not because I was attracted to men, but because it's what attracted women, one, but also like if you're a man, like suddenly it's okay, right, to be in a relationship with a woman, or you'd be wanted by a woman, and it would fix a lot of what are perceived problems that come with being a woman wanting other women. And I would like style myself around like, I don't know, male, like men's style. And just like as a young person, like I hadn't really explored even the idea of like fluidity in fashion or style, but I was like, and I really wasn't exploring it then. It was more so just genuinely wanting to dress like that. I don't know. It's weird. It's hard to articulate, but someone that I really like tried to dress like for a really long time, honestly still influences like my fashion now. I don't know why. Is Louis Tomlinson. And I saw a comment on a video the other day, and someone was like, I think that there's a pipeline from being like a Louis girl as a One Direction fan and becoming a lesbian. I feel like that's true. I don't know why, but I really liked his style in like 2014. And so I like kind of style around that. It's weird. I don't know how to explain it, but I had like this weird form of gender envy, and also an envy that like men could be in relationships with other men. And I like saw that as representation. So I did see it as something that existed and something that had support, because I was part of the people supporting them within these huge like communities and fandoms. And I think that's what like led me to feel those feelings around men and like gay relationships. Anyways, that was like in high school. And then junior year came, and I had like the craziest homoerotic friendship that I've ever had. It was intense. It was insane. I definitely like think I was in love with her. We had a crazy relationship. I've talked about it in, I have a video on here called The Homoerotic Friendship Crisis that talks a bit more about it if you're interested. And then also I have a video on Patreon. It's free, but my first video I posted on there goes in depth about that relationship and also why it ended horrifically. Homoerotic friendships end horrifically, but it ended very traumatically. So if you're interested, you can watch it there, because it's definitely not appropriate to talk about here. But it was a very, very like homoerotic friendship with very mixed feelings and like loss of boundaries. And it was crazy. Like, I don't know. It was a crazy experience, but it did help me like kind of realize that I was like undeniably a lesbian. And I ended up coming out to her and telling her that I was a lesbian. And it was interesting because she said that she wasn't even surprised. She just looked at me and she goes, "Oh, I kind of already knew." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Because the way you look at men versus the way you look at women, like it's pretty obvious." And I remember just being like, "Oh, I didn't know that." And then she told me, she's like, "Well, I think I'm bisexual." And so we just had a weird relationship. And then right after that, things blew up, and like she was super possessive and I was just like a pushover. It was terrible. But that friendship changed my life, because I had come out to someone like actually, and then because it ended so horrifically and very traumatizing, like in a very traumatizing way, I went back in the closet, and then things changed a lot because I was back in the closet and it felt like no longer an option. Like, hell no. After what just happened after I came out, like, hell fucking no. Like, I can't be gay. So then my senior year went by. That was what happened junior year, like, was really traumatic. So my senior year was terrible. I don't even remember senior year of high school. Like, honestly, like it was one of those parts of your life, I think, after something bad happens, that like you kind of lose all your memory. I just ditched a lot of school, and yeah, I don't even remember it. And then I moved across the country and I went to college, and then things changed again because I was finally in an area where it was liberal. Like, there were gay people. There were people and gay people. There's no people where I live. Like, there's literally, my town is 800 people. It takes like 6 minutes to drive from beginning to end. My 8th grade graduating class was 8 or 9 kids. There's no high school. So I had to drive an hour away, one way, for high school. There's nothing there. There's like 2 gas stations. And so there was no one to connect with in terms of being gay. And I moved across the country, and now there's gay people, and there's just people. And it was like a whole new world. Oh my God, it was so crazy. And I remember like thinking how crazy it was that there were like gay women. Like, there were gay women. Like, you could just be gay. And my freshman year, like, I realized, I was like, oh my God, wait, like, I could like be gay. Like, I technically could date women. And it was just like such a wild experience. And I like went through this phase where when I look back now, I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know how I thought I was going to like run away from this forever, because I always kept coming back to it. But like, I kept doing things that were just gay, like dipping my toe into like being gay, and then like freaking out and like taking, like putting a foot in the door and then taking it back out. So like, for example, I would have Tinder, and every now and then, like in the middle of the night when I was like brave enough, I'd be like, I'm gonna switch it to girls. And then I would for like 20 minutes, and then I get really scared and be like, oh my God, no, like this is terrible, this is wrong, like I can't do this, I can't like indulge this part of myself. And then I remember eventually, like, I actually started talking to one girl, and she went to my school. Oh my God, I feel bad about this. And then we were actually like talking, and you know, lesbians get attached like really fast. So I don't know, it was like I could feel that happening. And we were just texting, but I could feel it happening. And then I freaked out, and I was like, oh my God, I couldn't do this. And I saw her at school. My school was really small. And so I unmatched her, and I just like didn't message her. And I would see her at school all of the time, and she would just stare at me, and I felt really guilty. And actually, like back in September, after I got out of my breakup and like downloaded a dating app for like a week, I matched with her. last time I saw her was in 2018 when I was a freshman in college. I matched with her and she was like, I remember you because the way we texted. And I was like, oh my God, yeah. I was like, I like wasn't really out. And she goes, yeah, I kind of assumed because of the way I acted. But that's like what I would do. I would like put my foot in the door and then take it out. And I would do this another way with one of my childhood best friends. I would text her every time I had drank. I don't really drink, but my freshman year of college, I would go out with friends on the weekends and I would drink. And pretty much every single time I did, I would either call her or I would text her. I have texts from that. Maybe I'll put them on the screen. And I would tell her things like, I think I'm a lesbian. I don't want to be a lesbian, honestly. What if I'm just a lesbian? I'd say things like, I think I'm like 60% gay, or like 40% and then 60%. And it was just like climbing the number. And there was just no like running from it. Like, there was just no running from it. There was no running from it when I was sober. There was no running from it when I drank, which I didn't drink that much. Sounds like I drank a lot. It was always coming back to me. I was always running right back into it. And no matter how many times I tried to like slam the door, like there was always a wedge in it. Like I couldn't get away from it. And I had a fucking key. Like that's all there is to it. And it was just, I had to use it. I had to just like suck it up and open the door and actually like walk through it, like out of this damn closet, but I couldn't. And I was like, I could see it, but I couldn't like get myself to actually open it. And so I would text my friend that, I would call her, I would cry drunk, and then the next day she'd tell me and ask if I was okay, and I'm like, no, it's fine. I was like, I'm not even gay. Like, what the fuck? I don't even know about gay people. I don't even know what gay people do. Like, I'm nonchalant. I'm not even gay. Like, I don't even know. No, I was unwell. And I had this like group of friends. I lived in a quad, and I was really close with the girls in there. And I ended up one day being like brave enough. I was also tipsy, but I was brave enough like to just like get it out of my mouth. And I told them, I was like, guys, like I want to tell you something. And they were listening and I was like, I think I'm gay. Like I think I'm a lesbian. And I'll never forget this because what the hell? They all just kind of stared at me. And then one of the girls who I was really close with, like we were really close. So this like stung extra bad. She looked at me dead in the eye and she said, I love you, Niki, but you're not gay. That like kind of felt like a punch to the gut because it took a lot for me to get to the point that I could say that out loud to someone, and I thought we were really close. But at the same time, I also felt this weird like almost like hope, I guess, like something to grab onto, like, oh, she knows me really well, like we are really close, so maybe I'm not. Like maybe I'm not. Maybe I really am just confused. Like, even though, yeah, I came out when I was 16 and I, like, had a homoerotic friendship and I still, like, am going, like, all of these other things. I was like, no, maybe I really am just so confused. And even though that this has followed me my entire life, maybe it's just because I'm, like, silly and confused. And it was, like, something to hold on to because I still did not want to be a lesbian. I did not want to be a lesbian. And I, like, held on to that. I genuinely held on to it. I was upset that she said it, but also at the same time, like, almost felt relieved. Like, okay, no, it's okay. Like, I'm okay. And we stayed friends. I stayed friends with that group. And it's kind of funny because I look back now and I'm like, God, how could they not think that I was gay? Like, because I just couldn't help it. Almost like, I would say at least once a week, we would be sitting down like in a group and I would have to say this. I just would have to say it, ask the same question for fucking months straight, once a week. And I would say, would you guys date a woman like if you really liked her? Like she's like perfect for you. Like you just like really, really, really like her, like she's so perfect, would you date a woman then? Like would you be gay then? And they would always be like, I guess, like if I like her, I guess, like I don't really have an option. I'd be like, yeah, I was like, yeah, I think I would too. I would do that all of the time. I think the last time I did it, right before we stopped being friends, all of us, was we all had this giant fight. Like as a group, we had this giant fight. And we finally were making up and we were sitting down and it was like silent because we really like had not really made up yet, like kind of, but it was completely silent. Like no one was talking. We were actually sitting on a beach and I saw a girl walk by and I remember I was like, wow, she's so pretty. And I just couldn't help it. No one was talking. And I went, do you guys think like a girl is like so beautiful, like just like so beautiful, and you were attracted to her, like, would you date her? I just remember the way that they looked at me and I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm just curious. Like, not for any reason. Like, I'm just curious. And then they all said the same thing they always did, except they were more annoyed this time, which is like, I guess, like, if I really liked her, like, if she's really, I don't know, I guess. But they were all actually annoyed this time when I did it. I remember, like, yikes. Like, shit. Like, I'm just asking. Like, I'm just curious. It's not like I'm gay. It's not like I'm gay. I'm just checking. I'm just checking if you're gay. Like, just checking. Oh my God. That's so embarrassing to remember now. Like, I don't know people, how could you not tell? Like, I told you I was gay and then I can't get myself to stop asking like whether or not you would be gay. Like, oh my God. God forbid you found a girl like so beautiful, so attractive, and so wonderful that you just like had to date her. And we like stopped being friends after that because like, I don't know. Our whole friend group like just blew up. But I definitely think that like contributed was, I don't know, that like moment I feel like genuinely like contributed to the way that we stopped being friends because it was just like so awkward and weird. I don't know. Not long after that, like literally like a week, we all stopped being friends. And then I went into my sophomore year of college, still struggled, would go on and off on like a dating app. Then it was COVID. Could kind of avoid it. I had to move home for a little bit. So it was like something I didn't think about. And then at this point I was seeing a therapist like virtually, and I saw her for a couple of years, like into right before I came out like officially. And I would see her every single week and I would beg her to tell me how to not want men. Like every single week I would just like go to her and ask her, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, you have to tell me. There's got to be some kind of trauma I can unlock and fix this. And we did all these different kinds of like therapies, like every different kind of freaking therapy you can imagine to try and unlock what I thought was maybe some repressed memory. But there wasn't one. There was nothing there. I just was not into men. And I'd go on these dates and I'm like, what is making me feel so repulsed? And I'd go back to her and I'm like, no, there has to be something there. We have to try something new. And I went to her for like 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years. I don't know. In the last like 6 months I was seeing her, it was really bad. Like I would go every week. And eventually she just settled on saying to me that like, you just have to find the right guy. Like that's it. That's all there is to it. Which was like, I felt really defeated by, and I stopped seeing her like right after that. But it was the fact that I like truly was doing like self-induced conversion therapy at that point. Like I was trying so hard to fix myself, recognizing that there was something wrong. Like I couldn't be attracted to men and it wasn't working and I needed to fix it, and like going to get help like from a professional to try and reverse or fix these side effects like really was like me trying to like, I like self-imposed conversion therapy. And I stopped seeing her because she said that, and I just felt so hopeless because there was no right guy, and I knew that. Also, this is kind of a funny one. When I was home for COVID, oh my God, this is like sad though. When I was home for COVID, there was nothing to do in my hometown, so I would drive around all the time. And in that year, like the COVID year, Conan Gray came out with the song Heather, and if you know that song, it's just like, it's just like this, I don't even actually know what the plot line, but it's like about a girl and she's so pretty or whatever, just talking about her. And you know how you can have like scenarios in your head that just like play when you hear certain songs, certain music, like music videos in your head. Every time I listened to that song, and I would listen to it on repeat all of the time, I would just imagine like going through a breakup with a girl. I don't know why. I thought it was weird even when it was happening, but I couldn't get myself to stop thinking about it. And I would listen to it all of the time while I was driving and imagine myself like getting my heart broken by a girl, like by a woman. And I could like picture it so in depth, and even like the pain. And it wasn't even me like imagining like getting to date a woman or be in love, like, but getting my heart broken by a woman. And when I look back now, like it's so sad because like at least like if I got my heart broken, it meant that I got to love a woman and like get to be gay like openly and have loved and been loved by a woman. And at that point, like I would have taken heartbreak if it just meant I got to experience that kind of love and got to experience being myself that way. And so I would even imagine heartbreak, you know, as a form of escapism for something that I felt like I could never have. And I also think that there's something to be said for the fact that I imagined a breakup situation. And I feel like maybe, I don't know, I mean, who knows why, but I do feel like there's something to be said for the fact that I imagined it ending and it not working out, because maybe then it's something like inviting in me, like I don't see a future where it has to be my future, like, you know, this is who I become, because that didn't feel like an option, but at least something I had, and it ended and it was lost. You know, like it didn't continue, and I didn't stay that thing because I couldn't stay that thing because it was bad. And how could I have a life as this thing that was really bad? It was hard for me to let myself imagine a future where I could be happy in love and be gay. And so it makes sense to me that I would imagine a heartbreak situation rather than a happy ending situation that lasted long term, because I couldn't imagine a life like that if I was gay, because that's not how I was raised to believe gay people could live. Like there was not supposed to be a happy ending for you if you're gay. And so it makes sense that I couldn't even picture a happy ending, or a situation in which the relationship was like loving and happy and I wasn't sort of being like in pain or punished for it. But still that I loved. Like I loved her and I was like loved by a woman, but it was still like surrounded by pain and heartbreak. And I think that speaks a lot to like the internalized homophobia and defeat that can come with before even exploring your sexuality. Yeah, it's weird. It's interesting that I imagined heartbreak. And it makes me like sad now. Like, but it also was something I've thought about when I have gotten my heart broken. Like, actually something I thought about when I got my heart broken. The video I made about being cheated on with a man, my most recent ex-girlfriend. If you haven't watched that, Cheat on Me with a Man. I thought about that, actually, that song, because, you know, I used to like literally fantasize about getting my heart broken by a woman just so that it meant like I got to have loved a woman. And so, I mean, I guess how lucky am I that I even cared about someone so much in a way that I never thought I would even be lucky enough to explore and care about someone that I could get my heart broken. Like that kind of, in a weird way, feels like a gift. And the pain was awful, sucks, really bad, but the fact I got to love like that I even was able to get hurt, that's like, I feel like that's a blessing, you know? Like you can only get hurt so bad by things that you care about. And I always wanted to care in that way about somebody and love somebody that way, in the way that I was so envious of, that I saw all around me growing up in straight people. And I got to experience it because I cared and because I was gay. And yes, it meant my heart was broken, but it also meant that I cared in a way that I always wished so badly I could. And I finally did. I succeeded. Like I had something I always wanted. So it's just weird. It's weird to think about, to almost be thankful for heartbreak, just because it meant that I was able to experience the love I always wanted. And it meant that I got to live as the person I always wished I could, successfully, to the point of like I had a whole relationship. So it's a weird, I don't know, it's a weird dichotomy that I thought of. And then back to like, I stopped seeing that therapist. I was now 21. I was in a major manic episode. I'm bipolar 2. I was hypomanic. I was losing my goddamn mind. Like I was losing my mind. I was trying to run from myself like really badly. Like I couldn't figure out this like sexuality stuff, and I was like hypomanic, and it was just a mess, and I was like all over the place. And a few months after that, after she had done that, and I was like endless energy, like trying to distract myself in every way possible, I was standing in my room and I had Pandora playing, that like app, and it was on shuffle, and the song, I've talked about this before too, the song You're So Gay by Katy Perry came on. And I'd never heard that song before, and I was like, okay, whatever. But then the line came on that said, "You're so gay and you don't even like boys." And the song isn't about like a girl being gay, but it literally was like a light bulb moment. I've never in my life experienced such a like light bulb moment like you see in a fucking movie. Like it felt like it dawned on me. Like that realization was so intense and like visceral. It was so crazy. And it was just like, it was like finally laid out for me. Like, I don't even like boys. That was literally it. That was all there was to it. Like, I don't like them. I don't like them. Like, I do not like them. That's all there is to it. I don't like them. And for some reason, hearing that, like, verbalized, like, you're so gay, you don't even like boys, it was just like, that's the point. Like, that's all there is to it. I just don't like them. I don't like them. That's it. And I also felt like this immense relief. I've never felt like such immediate relief in my life, like a weight off my chest that I hadn't even really realized was there. And it was just like the most wonderful realization in the world, because at the very least I told myself I could stop trying. Like I was like, I can stop trying. I don't have to keep trying because I don't like them. I don't have to keep trying to like them, men. And so I just gave myself like permission to stop trying. And it was like the most alleviating moment that I'd like really ever had in relation to my identity in any capacity. And immediately after that, was on June 8th, 2021, because I texted my best friend. I'll put that on the screen. I have a screenshot, I think. And I was like, oh my God, I think I'm gay. And I was like listening to this song, and it was that song, and it made me realize it. I'll never forget that moment, because it was such like an aha moment that I've never experienced since. I've never experienced like something so like visceral in terms of like such a physical realization. It was crazy. It was a crazy feeling, like remembering it. And then after that, I was like, no, I'm going to be gay. Like, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to be gay, and I'm going to like explore dating women. And so I never looked back. I went on like my first real date with a woman. Like a couple months after that, talked about that in a tiny bit in my sexualization video. But for first date with a woman, it was interesting. She brought me a little pumpkin. We went to a movie. We didn't really talk, and then we went to dinner. It was the first time we really spoke because we didn't speak in the movie. And then she sat down, and one of the first questions she asked me was if I was the boy or girl during sex. Language barrier thing for sure. Like, English wasn't her first language, but okay, you're asking me if I'm a top or bottom during sex within the first 1 minute of conversation, and we've never even spoke sexually to one another. It was crazy. And then I didn't answer because I was stunned, and I was just staring at her, and she thought that I didn't understand her because she had an accent, so she thought it was her accent. So she asked again, louder, and she did it 3 more times. And I saw the really old fucking men around us start looking at us, which was humiliating, first of all, until I answered, and I just was like, I don't know. I guess it depends. Oh my God. It was Jesus fucking Christ. What an intro into the gay dating world. And then she talked, this is very much in lesbian fashion, I guess. Then she talked about her ex for an hour straight, and how she was like, I don't know if I can forgive her. Do you think I can forgive her? Because she didn't come to America with me, and her ex was also her professor from her home country. It was crazy. And then she asked me at the end of the day, I walked her to her car to be polite, and then she asked me if it was a good date because she's trying to learn how to date. And I just didn't know what to say, and I was super uncomfortable, and I felt bad. So I just was yeah. I should have said no, but I don't know. I was just oh my God, I was so overwhelmed. But it was my first date with a woman, and that alone made it exciting. Even though she did ask me a crazy fucking question. And then she FaceTimed me literally right when she got in her car, and I was walking back to my car, and I was like, okay, this is not gonna work. Yeah. That's so interesting. And now I have not looked back. And I've been in 2 lesbian relationships since, and now I'm 25. I turned 25 how many months ago? I can't do the math. I have dyscalculia, actually. I turned 25 January 4th. So I've been out for how many years? I'm not even going to pretend I can do that math. I'm not kidding. I have dyscalculia, so I can't do the math, and that's really embarrassing. But I've been out now, for a while, and I have 2 lesbian relationships, and it's been a few years, and now it feels I feel so at home in my identity. Even when I struggle with the side effects that can come with being a lesbian in a heteronormative culture and a homophobic culture, I still feel so at home. It is not everyone feels comfortable with labels, and that's understandable. And for me, it truly felt like coming home, and I've struggled with it in different ways, on and off, but at the end of the day, the ultimate feeling I have is there is such a feeling of this is it, this is right. And yes, I'd go up and down with feeling good about that, but always feeling in that, I knew I lived in that word. And as time passed and progressed, now it feels I live in it, and it feels like a home. I love it. I think the word is beautiful. I used to hate it phonetically, and I think that was just projected homophobia, but now I love it. It makes me feel genuinely at home. It's given me the opportunity to experience things that I never thought I'd be lucky enough to experience, and love and care, and the expansion of the self that comes with loving and caring somebody in that kind of caring about someone in that kind of way. I'm very thankful for it, even though sometimes I talk about the harder parts of it. I'm very thankful for being a lesbian, and getting to love other sapphics and other women. Even though, there's been heartbreak, at least I got to love. What is that saying? It's I don't know. At least you care about someone enough that it hurts a lot to lose them. There's some kind of quote. But yeah, I guess that's it. I just wanted to talk about, I guess, the lesbian journey. Because it's been a long one, and it's been a weird one. It's been 1 foot in, 1 foot out, 2 feet in, 1 foot out. But at the end of the day, I feel weirdly fond of, the concept of lesbianism. I don't really know how to explain it, but I love it, and I feel thankful for it. And yeah, I don't know. Makes me happy to think about, actually. This is way nicer to talk about than the last video I did, which was also healing in its own way, because it made me realize some shit that I still needed to work on. So I'm also glad that I did that video. But this one is such a wonderful reminder, how thankful I am for that identity, for this identity. So I thought I would share. And I'll have 2 more videos up. They'll be at Friday and Saturday, so that should be probably when this is uploaded tomorrow and Saturday. They're different topics, but still focused on lesbianism. I want to focus on Lesbian Visibility Week before we go back to being invisible, which we're not. We're never invisible. And okay, yeah, now I'm just rambling. But if you are a lesbian and you want to share like parts of your journey or how you figured it out or times you figured it out and times you questioned yourself or just like your experience with maybe being sapphic in general, but like anything related to the experience of being a lesbian, being sapphic, I would love to hear it. I love hearing people's stories, especially like when it comes to being lesbian, just because I don't know, I so deeply relate. And it's always nice to hear other people's experiences coming to that realization. So if you have any experiences that you'd feel comfortable sharing, I'd love to hear them. I'm sure other people would also love to hear them. If you want to share them in the comments, if you feel comfortable, I would love to read them. And if not, but there's something you want to talk about, maybe related to this, maybe like coming to terms with your sexuality, figuring it out, the excitement of having just figured it out, anything, but you don't want to share it here, you can always send me a message. My email's in the description, and also I have a submissions page on my website that'll be linked below. You can always send me something if you have something longer to say, something not related to this, something related to this, anything. You can always send it to me. I'd be honored to read it, to be in your audience. And yeah. There's also published submissions on the website where other people have written things, and particularly about their queer experience. So I'll link those below because they're really beautiful pieces as well. And what else? I don't know. I guess that's it. If you want to share any parts of your own story or your own experiences or how you feel in general, like things you're maybe struggling with related to your identity or really anything at all, just know that I do monitor the comments like as best as I can. So there won't be any like hateful, homophobic, transphobic, racist, misogynistic assholes in the comments. Like, hell no. So you don't have to worry about that. And yeah. Okay, I think that's it. I will see you in the next lesbian video, I suppose. And also just know I do have a Patreon. The videos are free over there, but they're more explicit, mature topics, particularly related to sex. But they're based in research. If you want to watch those, they'll be down below as well. And I post on TikTok sometimes and Instagram. And okay, yeah, that's it. Well, happy Lesbian Visibility Week. I hope you're having a very visible lesbian week and seeing many other lesbians, visioning them. What would be that word? I don't know. Okay. Anyways, happy Lesbian Visibility Week, and I will see you in the next video. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. Okay. Bye.